तस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्णचैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थे भिग्यस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्म हृदय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। स्वस्ति अस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदतां ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया मनश्च भद्रं भजता दधोक्षजे आवेश्यतां नो मतिरप्यहेतुकी। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, chapter number 2, verse number 13. This is dialogue between Vishnu Dutas and Yamadutas, the servants of Lord Vishnu and servants of Yamaraj, about Ajamila, who was a Brahmana, pious, religious, well-behaved, educated, controlled in his mind and senses, but became deviated from his religious principles and married a prostitute and took to very degraded activities to maintain himself and his family. When time came for him to die, he called his son, the youngest, whose name was Narayana. And because of that, Vishnu Dutas appeared there to protect him from the messengers of death. And then this interesting dialogue happened. So we read the opinion of Yamadutas, the servants of Yamaraj, who came to take Ajamila to punish him for his sinful activities. And then we read Vishnu Dutas, how they established that he does not deserve any such punishment because he has no sins, so he is completely free. And in this process we learned about the name, the holy name of the Lord, which is the most powerful process available, not only to become free from one's karma, but actually to become enlightened, realized, and more than that, to actually become devoted to God and have love for Him. So this is what we have read, and the various doubts and questions were raised in the commentary on the process of name. So now the Vishnu Dutas they are saying to Yamadutas, Athainam Mapaneta Krita Sheshaga Niskritam Yadasau Bhagavan Nama Mriyamana Samagrahit. So he is saying that therefore do not carry him. Why? Because he has performed atonement for all his sins. He is completely free. Ashesha Abha Niskritam. There is not a trace of any sinful activity, sinful reaction, or even tendency to commit sin in him. He is completely pure. And why Yadasau Bhagavan Nam Mriyamana Samagrahit? Because he chanted the name of the Lord when he was about to die. So of course that chanting was incidental, it was only he was calling for his son. So there is a commentary here which is interesting. It says, Ati yasmad evam tasmad enam maapayata. So he says, because he is like this, which means because he is free from any sinful activity because of the chanting, therefore don't take him with you. Krita Sheshiti, because he has performed every atonement which is possible. And when did he do that? So he says he did it the very moment he named his son. Putra Nam Karana Samaye Prathame Naiva Namna. So when he named him as Narayana and called him for the first time, that is the time he became free from all sins. Usually it is explained that he became free from sins because he chanted at the time of death. This is how everybody explains, but Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that he became free when he did it for the very first time. Etena ajamilasya prachin nama pradrahityam avgamyate. So from this we can conjecture or we can conclude that Ajamila did not have any namaparad or offenses towards the name before he named his son as Narayana. Because if he had offenses, then he would not have become free from the sins. As long as one commits aparad or offense to the name, or one has offenses from the past, one does not become free from the sins. But because he became, that means he was free from offense. And that's why as soon as he named his son as Narayana, he was completely free from whatever sins he has performed. Yadyato nispapatvadev mriyamana san nam samyak agrahit. And actually, because he was free from the sins, that is the proof that he was able to chant the name Narayana at the time of death. Otherwise, how was it possible that somebody who is very sinful can chant the name? It is not possible. People have tough time chanting when they are in their normal state of mind. What to speak when he was completely terrified and he was about to die. So he says that this is possible only because he was free from the sins. Yaduktam Gitasu, as it is said in Bhagavad Gita, Yesam Tvantagatam Papam Jananam Punyakarmana Te Dvandamo Nirvata Bhajante Vam Dridhavrata. Krishna says that those people whose sins have become destroyed or come to an end, Antagatam Papam, Jananam Punyakarmanam, who are engaged in pious activities, good activities. So only such people can engage in my service. Te dvanda moha vinurmukta, becoming free from the dualities. So human mind is very much occupied with the dualities of this material world. We are seeing this world with respect to our senses. Some things which are favorable to my senses, I consider them as good and desirable. And then there are others which are not pleasing to my senses. I consider them as undesirable. And this is how I perceive the world. So this is the dualistic vision. But actually at the bottom of everything there is no duality, there is only one reality. Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma. Everything around here is only Brahman or Paramatma or Krishna. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. There is only Vasudeva. Isa Vasamidam Sarvam. Everything is pervaded by Isa, by the Supreme Lord. But that vision people do not have, and that is because they want to enjoy the senses. So because of that nature to enjoy, because of that desire, they are not able to perceive the reality. And this is what makes different people having different concept of life or concept about the world or concept about other people because of their own concept of enjoyment. Otherwise there is only one thing, and that is Krishna. There is nothing else here. Neha nanasti kinchana. Upanishads, the Vedas are saying that there is no variety here. So this variety is appearing to us because of our kama. So that desire, that manifests on this variety. Varieties. So therefore Krishna says that this world is upheld by the living beings. Apare mitastunyam edam dharyate jagat. So those who have become free from this duality, they don't see the world like this. For them everything is Krishna's energy manifestation. Sarv bhutani yapased bhagavad bhavam atmana. So they only see Bhagavad Bhav everywhere, in everything. That is the vision of a devotee, that is the vision of a Mahabharata, Uttam Bhava. So Sarvabhutani Atmani Savai Bhagavatottama. So he is called Uttam Bhagavata, the topmost devotee. So that is the reality. Of course one can say that who is right? Is the Bhagavata or the devotee right who is seen like this, or the other people are right? Because what is the litmus test? So test is that it is the devotees are right because their vision never changes. And the vision of the other people changes, so that means that is not true. Even what they consider as good today, they may not consider it good at tomorrow. So what is the value of their opinion? They are praising one person today, tomorrow the same person is being criticized. So therefore Krishna says that parasvabhava karmani na prasansayat na garayet. And do not criticize or praise the nature of others. This is what is the use. It's not reality. Kim bhadram abhadram vadyatasya avastuna kiyat. What is good, what is not good. In this duality, what to say about it? It is all avastu. It's not absolute. It's temporary. So, bahusakhayanantasya buddhya vyavasayana. The mind of materialistic people is many branched. It's never stable. So therefore their opinion and their vision cannot be taken for the reality. So only when one becomes free from this, then one comes to realize the truth. So it is interesting that how we are perceiving and how a devotee perceives the same thing. So these statements in the Upanishad, Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma Nihana Nasti Kanchana, Mritya Mrityum Pashyati Ahi Nana Pashyati. Person attains death who sees the variety here. So these are statements spoken by realized people. These Upanishadic statements are very profound statements. They are not the babblings of ignorant people. So that is the superior vision, that is the truth, that is the Vedyam Vastamatru Vastu, Sridam Tapatrayon. Bhagavatam begins that here the Vasta Vastu is to be known, the reality, the absolute reality, not Avasta Vastu. This material world is Avasta Vastu. It also has existence, but it is avastava, not absolute. So vastava vastu is Krishna, that is Bhagavan, that is to be known. It is only He who exists, there is nothing else. So unless we come to realize this fact, there is no taptraya on Moolam, then we keep on suffering from threefold miseries. And we have different opinions, so many philosophies, so many lodges, so many religions, so much variety. So all this continues, but it is all ignorance, avidya, prasut, maya kalpana, manu maya kalpana. It's all product of mind. People speculate under the influence of Maya. So one has to rise above this. Then one gets the vision of the truth. So reality, the truth is here only, it is not somewhere else. It's not that you have to go somewhere, you have to take a flight to go to Vaikuntha. It's actually right here. But we don't see it because our interest is different. So this naam, this chanting of the name, that is the procedure to get rid of this duality. This is the most amazing thing which is being described here. Simple. So he says, therefore don't take him. Atho ma apnayata akret ashesha niskritam krita ashesha niskritam yadaso bhagavan nami briyamani samagrahit. So therefore Bhagavan Krishna says that only when one becomes free from this sin, so the root cause of the sin is this desire to enjoy independently, that I can broke down again. And then later on Krishna says, this is a verse spoken in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and then in the 8th chapter Krishna says that Antakale tu mameva smaran muktva kalevaran ye prayati tajandeham samad bhavam yati ye prayati samad bhavam yati nasti atra samsaya. So one who remembers the name at the time of death, mameva smaran muktva kalevaram antakale. So that is the test that one can chant the name at the time of death. Antakale tu mamiva smaran muktva kalevaram ya prayati samad bhavam. Says he attains my bhav. Nasti atra sansaya. There is absolutely no doubt about it. So this is only possible when one is free from sins, and that is only possible when one is free from offense. Because if one is not free from the offense, then one cannot be free from the sins. And if one is not free from the sins, then one cannot chant the name of God at the time of death. So this is the test of life. Life is a preparation for the final test called death. So, Harismaran, Antakale, Mameva Smaran Muktva Kaleva. Ante Narayana Smriti, remembering Narayana at the time of death. तेन मृत्यु काले एव नामाभाव प्रादुर्भावाभ्याम नामापराध सत्वा सत्वे अनुमेयेति व्याचक्षते. So he says, therefore it is to be understood that whether somebody is free from offense or not, that is known whether the person is able to recite the name at the time of death or not. And actually he says Nama Bhav and Pradurbhav. It is actually a name which becomes manifest by itself. Kajata Sri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grahiyam indriye sevan mukho yajivado swamev spuratyana. And the name becomes manifest itself. So name obviously is not going to manifest on the tongue of a person who is offensive. So that means Ajamila was free from offense, and therefore he was able to chant it. So then the next verse, Sanketyam parihasyam va stomham helanameva va vaikunthanam grahanam ashesha graharam vidu. You can start it again. So then he says that if one chants the name of the Lord, even indicatively, jokingly, or as a part of some song, or even not paying much attention to it. He says the chanting of the name of Lord Vaikuntha removes all sins. This is to be understood. So earlier he said that don't carry this Ajamila with you because he has performed all prashchitta. So one may say, well, he did not chant the name of the Lord, he was calling his son, Dasa. So here they speak this verse, and it doesn't matter. Sanketyam parihasam. Kidrisham nama sarva papaharam syat iti apekshayam kamutyenahu. What type of name removes all sins? This is described here by Kamutya Nyaya. It is called Occam's razor. That what to speak of the name which is chanted attentively. Even the name which is chanted without paying full attention or incidentally, that has the power to remove all sins. It's all getting broken all the time. So he says Sanketyam. Sanket means a symbol. When you make Sanket like this for victory, that is called Sanket. So here Sanket is just like he was calling his son as Narayana. So that Narayana was not the name of the Lord, that was the name of his son. That is called Sanket. Or you name something else. So Sanketyam putradahu Sanketa. Swarthe sarvatra tritiyarthe pratma Sanketadi bhiri. Parihasyam. Parihasyam is jokingly. Priti garbham evana tu ninda garbham. So he says that it should not be joking, does not mean in a critical manner to criticize the Lord, but in a loving manner. He says yatha bho vikhyata kirte Krishna nam drishta tav kirti yato mam nu dhartum ashakastvam iti. Like saying, oh, the famous one, name of Krishna, I have seen you. You are very powerful, I have heard. And you have a great fame of delivering people, but you cannot deliver me. So like that. Because I am very sinful. Stobham katha gita lapani purnartham kritam. Stobham is a word which is used for sometimes when you sing and there is a refrain and you may add some word in that. So that word may be name of Krishna. So you're just singing a song and then you have the name coming there. That is called Stobha. And Helanam Helaya Girurudhrita iti Vadiyatna Rahitam Tyam Eva Uchate Yatha. So the word Helanam means disrespect, but he is giving here that it does not mean that you chant the name disrespectfully. It will be offense, but disrespect in the sense means effortlessly. It's like it is said that Krishna, he lifted the Govardhan hill. Helaya means without paying much attention or care or putting his energy. Means very easily. So like that he says, in the same way Helaya means ahara vihara nidradopi avhelaya. So while eating or while strolling or going to bed, or like people sneeze in India when they sneeze, then in the West they say bless you. In India they will say some name of God and sneeze. So this is called Helaya. So eva yavanti Krishna namani ayam vinati न तावन्ति अन्ये प्रयत्नेनापि ग्रहीतुं शक्नुवन्ति इति. So न तु निन्दा अवज्ञादिकम्. So he says that here it should not be taken in the sense of criticism, this hela or disrespect. Why is that? Because ninda bhagavatah shrunvata tatparasya janasya va tato napayatiya sopi yati adha sakritat chita. So it is said that if one is performing, hears the criticism of the Lord or of the devotees and does not go away from there, then he also loses his piety. This is in relation to Shishupal from 10th Canto. Shishupal was abusing Krishna in this assembly, Rashtriya sacrifice. So there it was spoken. So we should not listen to criticism of the Lord or devotees. Better to leave that place. So that shows that hearing the name in a criticizing way, that is not recommended. Kim va Vishnuna iti tad avmantri venadau api doshavat. And it was also seen that Vena, he was also speaking in a disrespectful manner. So he also has to go to hell by that. So Asesha Gaharam Vasna Pariyanta Sarva Papanaskam. So when it is said that it removes all sins, so it means that it removes the sins up to the vasanas, the very tendency. That is the meaning. So patitah sklito bhagnaha sandashta stapta ahataha haririti aveshena aha pumanna hariti yatanam. And then they are continuing to speak on the same further that if somebody falls down or slips or his bodily limb is broken or is bitten by a snake or a mosquito or a scorpion or burns or is hit by somebody, and in that situation one calls the name of Hari. So in a helpless situation one calls the name of Hari. He says such a person also does not deserve to suffer from the sins. So this is again to say that you are calling the name incidentally. You're walking and or you're on the roof, you fall down or you slip or you break some part of your body and you are in pain. So any of these situations, so instead of just crying or using some abusive words, people do that. So you can say the name of Krishna. Then you get some credits. Chanting. Sanketyavidbhyo anyasya panchamasya vaivasya prabhedanah. So earlier he spoke of the four, Sanketya, Parihasya, Stobha and Helana. And now the fifth one is Avashena. means under some helpless situation, and the various divisions of that. Patitaha prasadadibhya. So falling down here means to fall down from the roof, building, or you are on the ladder and the ladder slips off, so you fall down. And skalito margena, and skalita means walking and it's raining and you slip, or the floor is very shiny and then you slip, because you also have nice shoes. So that is called skalan. And bhagno, bhagna gatra. Bhagna means breaking some part. Or somebody is giving you injection. You go to the dentist. He's pulling your tooth. Or some physiotherapist fixing your shoulder. So acupressure. Right? So then you are in pain. So sandashtaha, bitten sarpadibhi by snake, etc. And tapto means in heat. So jvaradina, you have fever. So all these are opportunities for chanting. Ahato dandadina, or you get hit by a stick. Puman karmi prabhritibhyo anya iti vyakhyat yuktya ge. So he says here the person which we are talking about is somebody who is not a karmi, means following karmi yoga. Because those people are already offensive to bhakti. So he says it is someone else. So he says as it was already explained, so same yukti or logic should be used here to explain this. And gurunam cha laghunam cha guruni cha laghuni cha praschittani papanam gyatvoktani bhavishidhi. So he says as far as the praschitta or the atonements are concerned, they are in proportion to the sin committed. If the sin is mahapatak, there are various types of sins described in the Smriti Shastra. There are mahapatakas, there are upatakas, there are patakas. Pataka means one which makes you go down or sin. So severe, very grave sins, medium type, and small type, simple ones. So correspondingly, there is the praschitta. So heavy praschitta for heavy sin, like heavy disease, a heavy dose medicines. Yadrisha yaksha, tadrisha bali. Depending on what type of yaksha is there, you give the food accordingly. Big yaksha, big food. So similarly, it has to be done here. Nanu papa tartamyena कृच्छ्रादि तारतम्यम शास्त्रे दृश्यते कथम एकेव नाम भास सर्व महापातकानि विनाशयेत् इत्यतः. So he says that it is seen that according to the intensity of the sin, the different prashchittas or atonements are prescribed. So how is it that just one nama bhas removed all sins? This does not make sense. So then this verse is spoken. Gurunam iti tesham parimit shaktitvat तथा तथैव व्यवस्था नामनस्तु अचिन्त्य महाशक्तेर एकस्यैव महापातक पुंज संहर्तित्वम एकांशेनैव. So he says because these prashchittas, atonements, they have limited power in them. So therefore according to their power the prescription is given. But the name has unlimited power. Mahashakti, Achintya Shakti, inconceivable power. That defies all logic. that just simple chanting of the name can do such a thing. So the reason is that name is the internal potency of the Lord, and prashchittas are material things. So I have very limited material power. And this is internal power, internal potency, so it is supremely powerful. And because it is internal potency, it is having the complete power of the Lord Himself. So therefore they cannot be compared. Prashchittas and name are two different categories. There is no comparison between them. So it can destroy heaps of sins. Not only one name, but even one part of the name. Even if you say Ra from Ram, that itself takes away. So yatha samba mochane pravrittasya balbhadrasya ekasyeva duryodhanadi sarva kaurav sanghara kshamatvam anayasya nemi. So he is giving an example that Krishna had a son, his name was Samba, born from Jambavati. And Duryodhana had a daughter. So there was this Swamvara where the girl chooses the husband. So Samba also went there. But instead of waiting for her to choose him, he thought, who knows, he may choose somebody else. So he kidnapped her forcibly. Because that is a real Kshatriya. What is he just waiting and real bossism is that you take by power. So he ran with the girl. So Kauravas, they got very furious. He said, who is this fellow? We are so powerful people sitting here, Bhishma and this Karna, Duryodhana, Dusasana, Dronacharya, Swathama, they were all present. And in their presence he is daring to do this. So they ran behind him and they caught him. He fought valiantly alone, but there were so many of them and they were also very powerful. So they captured him and put him in the prison. So this news went to Dwarka. So Krishna told Balaram that can you go and talk to these guys. So Duryodhana came and he stayed outside the city and he sent a message that I have come here. Because usually when one big person comes, he has to be received. It was a custom. They will not just enter the city, they will send a message and people will come to receive him. And he will be taken in. That was the protocol. So even in India previously, now of course the marriage system had changed, but previously marriage party used to be for 3 days. So when the marriage party will approach the village, then it will stop outside the village, right? In Nepal maybe they are still doing it. But in India at least that is gone, but I remember. So they will stop outside the village and then the barber will go and inform. Barber was used as a messenger in the olden days. Barber had 2 functions besides trimming the hair and shaving beard, etc. His job was also to make announcements. So in the village he will make announcement for the marriage, for this, for that. So then the people, all the elderly people from the village, they will come to receive them. Depending on the person, they may bring garlands and chanting of the mantras, brahmanas, all this. And then the marriage party will proceed into the village. That's how it was done. It was a very nice custom. Now everybody is coming and they just come eat and go. No one really bothers. So Duryodhana was received nicely. Balaram. Duryodhana party, they came and they received him. And then he said that I have come here and you release him. So now the Kauravas, they became very proud and he says, what do you mean? Who are you to order us like this? Don't you know that we are the rulers and you are Yadus, and Yadus were cursed. Yadavas were cursed by Yayati. Because Yadu was son of Yayati. And if you know the story of Yayati, he was trying to exchange his old age. He had 5 sons, Yadu and Kuru, Druyu and Puruvasu and this. So Yadu has also refused. So he cursed that nobody in your dynasty will ever become a king. So he said, because of us you have some status, otherwise who cares for you? So then Balaram became angry. He said, Acha, you dare talk like this to me? I will show you. So he thought, I am going to throw this whole Hastinapur inside the river. So he started pulling it. Then they fell at his feet. And so he said just like one Duryodhan, one Balaram, Balbhadrasya ekasyeva Duryodhanadi, Sarva Kaurav Sanghar Chamatta. So just as he alone, one was sufficient to kill all these Kauravas. So Kauravas he is comparing like the sins. And Duryodhan, I don't know why I am saying Duryodhan. Balaram alone was sufficient to smash them. So like that one name is enough to remove all the sins from the people. So that is a very nice example he gives. So therefore do not try to compare. That's why it is very difficult for the poor Mimamsakas, religious people, to understand the power of name. It's very difficult for them to understand this, because their concept is totally different. Taistaniya ghani puyanti tapodana japadibihi na dharmajam tadhridyam tadapi sangri sevaya. So he says that these prashchittas which are described, bigger prashchitta for grave sins and smaller for the smaller sins, he says that they are able to destroy the sins. Whether that prashchitta is in the form of doing some austerity like going and standing in the river up to the neck and chanting the mantra in the cold, or standing in the midst of fire in the heat, or maybe doing charity like donating a cow, or chanting certain mantras like Gayatri mantra. So he says these prashchittas, they can remove the sin. But he says that these prashchittas cannot remove the heart of the sin. Na dharmajam tad hridayam. The hridaya, the heart, which is the vasana, the tendency lying inside in the form of the seed. So, kutam, bijam, papam, right? Described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And there is this vasana is lying, and then there is something, a prarabdha karma become manifest. So that is not destroyed by the prashchita. But it says, tadapi is anghri sevaya. But if one renders service to the feet of the Lord, not only the sins are destroyed, but the very source where the cause, the root of the sins is destroyed. So this is the special power of the name. Kinchas tais tathavidhairapi puyante puya vinashe adharmat jatam aghanam hridayam moolam suksham rupam tu na puyate na nasyati tadapi isangri sevaya haricharaniyo bhaktya नवानाम भक्तिनाम मध्य एक या प्रकारनिक्या कीर्तन रूपयापि वासना पर्यंत पापक्षया. api shuddhayati. So he's basically explaining, giving the meaning of this verse, that how any one type of bhakti, whether Shravan, hearing, kirtan, chanting, smaran, remembering, or deity worship, any one of these can destroy all sins and also the vasana from the heart, and thus makes one completely transcendental. So that is the speciality of bhakti. So I will stop here if there is any question.
So the way I understand vasanas are a collection of samskaras. Is that correct?
Yeah.
They're a collection of samskaras that actually cause you to behave in more of the samskaras sort of cause you to react, but the vasanas cause you to actually...
Yeah, they make your character. Basically.
Yeah, they make your character, exactly. So typically what I hear is that samskaras are in the chitta, but now he's talking about vasanas in the heart.
Yeah, that is where chitta is.
The chitta is in the
Chitta
heart.
is the heart.
That's how I understand it. The chitta is here.
That is the brain.
Yeah.
That is the instrument through which chitta works.
Okay.
From there it comes here.
So you were saying that we shouldn't stay in a room where the name is being criticized, but shouldn't we defend it?
Yeah, if you can. But usually if you defend, then they may criticize more. This is democracy, you cannot kill a person. So everybody has what they call right to speech. That is one of the fundamental rights. So anybody can write anything, anybody can speak anything.
So we should assess our opponent, and
if you think that you can convince him or defeat him and make him shut up, basically, then do it. But if you think, you have to ascertain the situation. So of course leaving is the safest.
So that you are saying that when we suffer, it's like accidentally or something, and then we recite the name or something, we will also become free of
If you are free from offense.
But normally the name has to be served.
He is giving an example that how the name can purify even in that situation. This is not a recommendation that you do that and don't chant. That's why he said this is Kamutyanya, that's what I call Okam Saraja, which means if this has the power, then what to speak of? And it's called Kamutya. So this is all Kamutya.
What can we conclude about Gandhi saying Ram at his death?
He said that if one is free from offense, then only one can do that.
Et les personnes, tu peux traduire les personnes qui ne peuvent pas chanter parce qu'ils ont un coma par la souffrance, comment ils peuvent faire des choses comme ça. Qu'est-ce qu'ils font? Les personnes qui ont le cancer, qui ne sont pas souffrants.
time of death, the person who become unconscious, they cannot speak, so they cannot
Come si dice?
say the name of God.
Coma.
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 So what can be done?
I have a question related to this. It's like a Vaishnava custom that if somebody is about to leave the body, that kirtan is performed or some. Is that beneficial for the person even if the person doesn't himself remember or is not able to remember the name?
You see, the thing is that, as he's saying that person, if he is free from them, then it will happen. Otherwise, he may be thinking of still something else, like when you listen to kirtan, your mind is running here and there. So, of course, it may help him to remember, remind. But it's better that one does it by one's own effort. So it is good. That's why there is custom of putting tulsi and salagram. These are just to remind. But these are for a devotee. If somebody is not a devotee, then what difference does it make?
In the initial part of your class, you were speaking about the duality, and we deal with this duality according to our realization. Now, what is the relationship between dealing with this duality according to our realization and following rules and regulations?
Rules and regulations related with
Because
bhakti.
sometimes, also in other religions there is celibacy, and because it said you have to be pure and all this. So there is, on one hand, there is an understanding of the illusory nature of the world and the senses, and on the basis of this reality or understanding, you accept a lifestyle which is not really according to your purity. Or you see here in Vrindavan, some people are extremely renounced and they go nuts. Now, how should a devotee deal with this? So we know from the Shastra and from the Guru that this is all a very, the duality is an illusory concept. And on the other hand, we do have the vasanas and the samskaras, which kind of induce us or force us or lure us into doing things, and then there is the structure of rules and regulations. You can't do this, you can't do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, we have to live in the society, we cannot deny that. So we have to follow the norms of the society. But our internal is not depending on what norms are there. So our basic concept is that we want to perform devotional service, and in that there is no duality, because there is only one goal, that is service to Krishna. Everything is meant for that. Duality comes, and if there is so-called duality, that is only in relationship with that. Anukulyasa sankalpa pratikulyasa varjanam, to take everything which is favorable and try to avoid which is not favorable, like the offenses are not favorable. So that is what we give up. So that is our internal concept that we have to maintain, and we also have to function in the society.
So there is always an element of denial, as long as you have to deal with the senses, right?
Yes, in the practicing styles. Otherwise, as Rupa Goswami says, that vairagya means Vishayasu arochakta swayam, that losing interest in the sense objects naturally, that is called renunciation. But when we are not at that level, then you have to practice to reach that level. And practice here is not actually practice of renunciation, but practice of devotional service. That has to be performed, because that will naturally give you janeti asu vairagyam jnanam chedahetukam. So of course, again, when we are practicing, then we are giving up with the idea not that I want to renounce this, but because I want to perform the service.
So it's the positive intention
Right.
that makes the denial reasonable or natural.
Right. Otherwise you get into the suppression.
And
And
that is
that's
not-
what you said, that you get crazy. And the suppression means that you are really not convinced about it. You are following it because of the norm of the society. Or because of some, yeah, usually social pressure. You have to maintain a status that I am renounced or I am a devotee or this. Otherwise I will not be honored or respected, or nobody will give me donation, or nobody will follow me, or whatever. These are the considerations. So that is not renunciation. That is problematic situation. And that's what Krishna calls as mithyachar. Bahi indriyani sanyami yaste manasasmara. So you are controlling from externally, and inside you have the intention.
So when Rupa Goswami says to follow the rules for the sake of spiritual advancement, it's like an individual thing to understand or determine whether your following of the rules for spiritual advancement is according to your level. And then like criticizing a devotee who tries to do this but is not really on a very high level is also a namaparat, right?
Yes. Because criticism either is that you speaks for the benefit of the person, or you talk about it for your own education, that you should not have such behavior yourself, then it is constructive. Otherwise, it has no meaning. It was breaking many times.